Day 26. 6 Degrees of Hell. Joe Raffa, you fucked up. Joe Raffa is the director of this movie, and he did a shit job. Didn't really read into this movie. I don't really know a whole lot about it other than having watched it one time. It was a very painful experience. This guy, I'm pretty sure he wrote and directed this movie, and he starred in it. And for some reason, he made himself a fucking pedophile in this movie. I don't know if that says anything about real life Joe Raffa, but yeah, it sounds like I said, I've done no research on this, but it sounds like Joe Raffa made a shitty movie and couldn't find anyone to put it out, so he had to get on his knees and beg Corey fucking Feldman to put his name on it. Now, you know, I watched this movie because it was a Corey Feldman movie. This is the laziest Corey Feldman movie I've ever seen. He is in this for, I don't know, like 5 minutes. No, I'm not even going to say 5 minutes. 5 minutes max. Like the title suggests, this is kind of like six degrees of separation, except with spooky shit happening. Sorry, technical errors. But yeah, like, this movie is just all over the place in just the worst possible ways. It starts out like, I'm going to try just to run through this real quick because I don't really want to dedicate a lot of time to this. Starts out like group of friends hanging out, and they're like, oh shit, one of our friends is clairvoyant or is a psychic and blah blah blah. She tells the future of the other girl there, saying, basically, you're gonna be really hurt here in the near future. And then the girl just fucking, I don't know, she just kind of kills over and dies, and they don't really ever go into what killed her, but apparently it was demons. And then it cuts to like a group of paranormal investigators that have a shitty TV show called like, I'm just gonna say Ghost Hunters. It's probably not Ghost Hunters. Who cares? But like they're investigating stuff, and they run across somebody that thinks they're a vampire or some shit, and it's the kid's obviously possessed. And when I say kid, I mean like a 27-year-old. He's possessed, and he starts like talking shit to the other guy, and I'm assuming he's got the demon in him, and he's just like, oh, blah blah blah, your sister still, you know, takes it up the fucking ass, and blah blah blah. Then it cuts to like, oh, his sister was like raped and murdered. And then it cuts to back to the original people. I guess some time has gone by, and yeah, one guy's girl's dead, so he just hooks up with the other guy's chick, and then they're chilling out, and he's just like, hey, you know, drive me around, we're gonna go pick up this girl. And he's like, oh, not her again, I hope she's not home. She's a fucking middle schooler. Why he wrote that character, I mean, the character Joe Raffa plays is supposed to be an ass, I get it, but oh, fuck, man, like, why? Ugh, it's just a bad look on an already bad movie. Like, your movie's shit, man. I can't say really much else. But I have to. And like, the rest of this movie plays out, shitbag Joe Raffa, his character's uncle runs like a haunted hotel every Halloween for their town. And I guess it's draws a lot of people. So they're helping, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have, ghost hunter fucks come in and also help. And oh, we went to I forget the lady's name, but they were saying how she like predicted 9/11, and I looked her up, couldn't find shit, so I guess it was made up. They just wanted to throw some weird shit in there talking about 9/11 a lot. And oh, my capture's freaking out. Either way, yeah, and then like Ghost Hunter meets up with the psychic chick. They touch the same object, and they both get teleported into the, basically to watch his sister get fucked and then murdered. And I don't know. Basically, long and short of this, there's a demon, and he's been like the demons. They want to get the psychic girl. They want her power, but instead of fucking with her directly, they're using the rules of 6 degrees of separation to piece all this shit together at once. And then, like, by the end of it, I'm sorry, this movie fucking sucks. I'm having trouble talking about it. It eventually ends up with, like, people going through the opening night of this haunted hotel, and some of the people are actors, and then the rest of them are demons, and then they're all demons, and everyone just basically dies. And interspliced, like I said, this is a Corey Feldman movie, interspliced very lightly through this shit bag of a movie, there's Corey Feldman talking with, I guess he was the assistant sheriff, whatever you want to call that, and I guess he is sheriff now, and then eventually you find out the other sheriff, which I'm not even going to get into him, he dies, then becomes possessed, and then dies again. Who fucking knows? But he's talking to him like, what happened? And he's got like frosted, he's got like platinum blonde hair. It's like spiked up, but he's got one long, it's like down to here, one long strand of hair that's still brown. And he's smoking an e-cig, which really dates the fuck out of this movie. And he's like trying to get the lowdown on all this bullshit that's happened. And then the end of the movie, Corey's like, I'm going to go solve this. And he goes to walk into the haunted hotel. And then the movie ends. Much like this review. Day 27. Creep. I fucking love this movie. Do you love this movie? Do you? Yeah, this is a great movie. That was my impression of me being creepy. Because this movie is, I mean, it's kind of funny at times, but it is very unsettling. This movie stars Mark Duplass. If you're not familiar with him, he was what I would consider the main character on The League, and he starred in a whole lot of other things besides The League, you know, movies and TV. Great, funny guy. Well, I've only ever known him as a comedy actor. Well, holy fuck. Can this the range on this man, and it's complimented in this movie by the only other character really in this movie. I believe it's Patrick Bryce, who's also the director of this movie, and in probably the best situation to be able to make a movie. Both actors were also the writers for this movie, so. Apparently they were able to go over, the scenes, and just change what they needed to on the fly, because, they didn't have to worry about redoing the script a lot, or having to, inform a bunch of other people, because they were the only people in this movie. This movie tells a story of Aaron and Joseph. Aaron, played by the director, is like a freelance cameraman, and he's taking a job off of Craigslist. Really not much detail, just other than show up, film for, I guess, like 8 to 10 hours, get paid money. So he's in, and he goes and he meets his client, who happens to be Mark Duplass, and right off the bat, he's just a little off. He jump scares him as a greeting, and he proceeds to continue to jump scare this guy throughout this movie, and it's, I'm not a big fan of jump scares, but comedic ones, because it's always like each jump scare is followed up by just the biggest grin on Mark Duplass's face, and it's a sight to see. And like just the way these two characters play off of each other, and the tension that builds throughout this film, it's just so good. I don't really want to get into this movie much further, other than guy shows up and he's obviously filming stuff, but like I'll go a little further. Mark Duplass's character, the client, is like, hey, I had cancer a few years ago. I beat it, but it's come back, and I have an inoperable tumor on my brain. And he's like, and my wife's pregnant, but I the doctor's projecting I won't live to see my son's birth. So he's like, I want to make like a video diary just so my son can see the real me, before, he dies. So Aaron, the cameraman's like, oh, okay, I'm into this, I'll help. It immediately starts off weird, and it only gets stranger. And throughout this movie, every time I've watched it, I don't know if this is just a side effect of me watching too many horror movies growing up. When I watch horror movies, I always think, where's my out? How would I beat this? I like to think that, like, how would I beat this? Or how would I enter this situation differently, with or without knowledge of said movie? Either way, throughout this movie, I was just thinking, I'd leave right now. And one of these characters doesn't. And it is so good, but I'm going to have to stop, or I'm going to keep talking about this movie. There's a sequel, just as good as the first. I'm not going to say a T2, but it's pretty good. It's real good. And there's a third one maybe coming in the future, so go watch Creep. Day 28, Killjoy 2, and Killjoy 3. Yeah, I'm kind of smashing two movies in one day because I kind of read the plot for the fourth movie. Holy fuck, man, I had to watch it. So I did. So I watched the other ones because I can't leave a series incomplete. I'm just that kind of guy. Well, these movies were different compared to the first one. It's still Killjoy, still a demon of vengeance. Different actor. In this one, it's a guy named Trent Haga. I looked up his Wikipedia or his IMDb. I didn't really recognize anything he's been in. Didn't recognize him. He did a really good job. He kind of, I don't know. The transition between actors kind of reminded me of how Freddy Krueger kind of evolved throughout the series. Got just a little goofier and tamer in some. That's kind of how he is in 2 and 3, or Killjoy. Killjoy 2 is a fucking slasher film, honestly, with like a slight spooky clown demon twist. It starts out like these minor offenders are having, as punishment, they have to go spend 90 days building a rehabilitation center for other offenders, and they're told they're going 200 miles away. They end up breaking down in the desert. It's like 4 or 5 offenders and 2 detention officers. So like they break down, the men and the women immediately split up. Women stay with the bus. The men go try to find help. They find a house. One of them breaks in, immediately gets shot. Then you just assume one of the other ones gets shot because they hear a gunshot in the distance. Their friend took like a shotgun square to the stomach, point blank. He lives through most of this fucking movie. But they drag him back to the bus. They're like, oh fuck, we need to find help. No one's cell phones will work. So they keep marching out further into the desert. They end up finding voodoo lady, priestess, just living out in the desert. And she's like, oh fuck, like I can help your friend, but I'll have to use voodoo. And then one of the offenders is like, oh, my grandma used to be into voodoo. She told me about Killjoy. He's a demon of vengeance. Or he's a demon clown thing. And she's like, well, fuck, we should summon him. Maybe he can help our friend who's gut shot. And, because that's what demons do. They help people. The logic in this movie was kind of dumb. But they end up, like, inadvertently Candymanning him in. There's no ritual. They just kind of say a rhyme. And Killjoy shows up, immediately starts killing people. The kills in this one they were way better than the first one. Starts out a little weak, some off-screen deaths. And then there was a few that were pretty unsettling. One guy, I think he pulls a knife on him, And he's like, I'm going to cut you up, man. And Killjoy's like, no, I'm going to put a smile on your face. Burn! Starts like acting like he's cutting his face, and the camera pans to the offender, and he is slashing his own face. And Killjoy keeps it up for a while, and it looked pretty bad. Pretty harsh. That movie kind of ends in after that he murders everyone else. Pretty hilarious fashions because he's a fucking clown. He doesn't really have any roles in this one. Because like in the first one he had a pocket dimension, you had to kill the doll to kill him. And this one, like, they try to do a voodoo ritual. He ends up messing it up, killing the priestess, kills a bunch of people. They end up just taking a bunch of, like, voodoo powders and shit that lady had, mixes them up real quick and throws it in his fucking face. And then he dies, and everyone's happy and lives. And that's the end of that movie. And I was just kind of like, maybe the third one will be better. And it was. The production value, infinitely better than the first two movies. By far. And it really showed with the effects and just overall how the movie turned out. This one, it starts out with like a dude basically making a blood pact, summoning Killjoy. Killjoy's like, I need more blood, motherfucker. And he uses the extra blood with a spoon and throws, basically he just throws the blood and summons three cronies, a hobo clown that's big and dumb, a succubus clown, and a mime that has like a conjoined twin fetus attached to it. It's the best way I can describe it. Summons them, and he's like, alright, who's my target? You know, I'm a demon of vengeance. Who am I killing? And the guy that requested the summoning, he kind of freaks out. He leaves. He's like, oh, fuck this. I was just dealing with one demon. I didn't want to deal with four. So he bounces. Killjoy gets mad, and he basically has to dematerialize. And then the movie cuts to, like, college kids partying, and it's like the next day, and they're like, oh, but we have to clean up the professor's house that I'm house sitting for. So they clean it up, they check the mail, and there's a bright red bag with a mirror inside of it. So like, that's weird. No return address, no anything. It was in a fucking bag. So they hang it up. One of them ends up touching it, just boop. And he gets sucked into, like, his consciousness gets, like, sucked into a pocket dimension, which harkens back to, I guess, the first movie with their weird little, like, ice cream truck pocket dimension. And, he has to fight the hobo clown, and the hobo clown beats the fuck out of him with big, oversized boxing gloves. But in the real world, he's just laying on the ground, just shaking and spitting blood, and all their friends are like, oh my god, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And, they kind of wake him up out of it, and he disappears. Then they start, like, taking turns going in it. Full body, not just consciousness. Whole body into the mirror. And, the whole time, like, Killjoy's like, oh, man, you know, pulling little gags in their little pocket dimension they're chilling at. And he's like, and, like, to him, the mirror is like a TV. It's really weird. It's kind of a lame bit. But he's like, hey, I can kind of see them. He's like, I can see these people. I don't know who these are. He's like, but the right one hasn't shown up yet. Well, eventually you find out the one he's looking for the whole time with the mirror is the professor. Professor ends up being the guy from the beginning of the movie who started the blood pact, but never gave him a target. Well, that's because the target is Killjoy. The professor is the father of the kid from the first movie, Michael. And he's like, yeah, I've got to kill Killjoy. And of course, Killjoy's not going to fucking kill himself. So he has to just torture and kill everyone else with the help of his, you know, newfound friends. And, yeah, this one was way better than the second one. I don't know, something about it just seemed kind of lame. Kind of like, I pretty much knew what was going to happen. And the big thing in this one is, like, the professor has been studying demons, and he knows how to hurt Killjoy, and that's by saying his name. And Yeah, so that's what they do, and like the college kids are like, well, we'll just laugh at them. They're clowns. You know, that'll fuck them up. Let's laugh at them. So they use a combination of laughing at these clowns and saying Killjoy's name to kind of weaken them. Half of them die in pretty hilarious fashions. One of them gets eaten. One of them's like transformed into a big human turkey hybrid. Very odd. She gets eaten. One guy gets his head smashed. Then you figure out, like, Michael's soul is still in Killjoy. Comes out, punks the dad out, murders him, and I think it leaves one chick alive, and she starts laughing at him, saying his name, and she leaves. And that's kind of where the movie ends off. So that's where this is ending off. I hope you're ready for the last 3 days of October, because I fucking am. Bye.